Welcome to State of the Laundry Industry with Laundromat, Episode 10, Going from Laundry Operator to Business Owner. In addition, we're also going to be providing some top tips on how to hire in today's difficult hiring environment. This episode is part 2 of a series featuring Kent Wells of Happy Laundry. In the previous episode, we discussed tips on how to find top talent and retain the team members that you have. I always learn a lot talking to Kent, and I hope you enjoy the show. Without further ado, here's Kent Wells from Happy Laundry.
I've gotten so much information over the years, not only from other laundry owners and folks that I met in the CLA and in the business, people I've talked to at clean shows and got to know. The biggest thing for me, I think, is that I'm really personally trying to make a transition from an owner-operator to a business owner. And that's, I've been in this business for 15 years. It's been in other businesses before this, but I don't want to spend my whole life being an operator. That's not my job. And honestly, that's not my skill set. The more I've thought about this, and this has been a huge personal growth thing for me, which is, all right, what do I need to do to just be the business owner? How do I support my team? How do I empower them to make the decisions with the customers? And honestly, I don't really talk to customers much anymore. That's what we have folks to do. And you give them the power to resolve situations and, drive it home and get me out of from being the sticking point too.
That is such a great point. I remember, I kind of grew up with my parents were entrepreneurs and their parents were. Mm-hmm. I remember as a kid where one of my parents' friends said, "How do you let your employees do this and this and this?" And, my dad, mm-hmm. He's good at delegating and also empowering people to make their own decisions. And instead of micromanaging. So you'll see two different types of owners. A lot of times you got the people who are saying, do this, it's called task management, where do this, do this, do this. And the other version is more, I think, your style, where you're empowering your employees to, make their own decisions. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the keys to that is you have to allow them to make mistakes. You have to be okay with that.
Absolutely.
And then they learn from that. You're allowed to look at the bigger picture because you're not, micromanaging. And I think that's just a great philosophy.
It's interesting you say that. I was at a Dave Ramsey it was either Entree Leadership or I can't remember which one it was, but been to a couple of his things. And he was talking about his kids growing up. And as they were maturing, getting older and had more responsibilities, like giving them a little bit more rope. And I kind of switched that in my head and said, that's really for our leads and our management team. So it does take time, and you're investing time and effort into people to kind of show them how you want things done. But you do, as they mature as a leader, as they get more business experience, you want to give them a little bit more and more rope. And of course, if they, betray your trust or they show that they can't handle it, you got to pull that back in. But that thought of giving people more responsibility as they earn it or demonstrate that they're good. And even, how do they handle situations where they've made mistakes? Are they blaming other people, or are they the type that goes, I did this, could have done it better this way. Here's how we move on through it and don't hold it against themselves. So that's
terrific. Well, one final thing, I feel like Columbo, there's like one last thing before the door closes, right? And that was the pay range. I forgot to ask about that before, which was.
Yeah, absolutely.
This helped us significantly. It helped increase the volume of phone calls and interest in the job opportunities. So if you could explain the idea behind that and how that works.
Sure. So on our, we've started out with this on our third shift ad. So we've moved a lot of our residential wash, dry, fold production to third shift. We're more of a 2-shift town. I didn't think that there was going to be a lot of third shift applicants. So what we started to do was put the pay range or earn up to, because we're paying our third shift folks a bonus based upon production and what they potentially earn at that level. It is a part-time job, so they in 3 shifts a week, so they can. It's definitely a big thing to add, and it's usually after kids go to bed or right, kind of in that time frame. So we did find when we started putting that what was possible in the title, we got a lot more applications that we could look through. So and applications is key to us because.
Yeah. So rather than just putting down a fixed dollar amount, hey, this job pays this, you've got a range in there. So
we do. And we've tried both between a range and then, like in our case, $18 plus an hour up to, So our kind of range for third shift is anywhere from, I think it's $15 to $21 an hour that they can kind of top out at in the 20s if they're a stellar production worker. So yeah, that really got a lot more interest, and we explained that to folks in the interview as well.
Oh, that's terrific. And one thing I want to remind everybody about is paying for production. I'd rather have a $20 an hour employee who's able to crank out a whole bunch of, just is more productive than a $10 employee that, it's like, well, I got a good deal on the hours, but what's the actual production per dollar? And that's something to always kind of keep in mind.
No worries. That was one thing I just wanted to add to, we're a long way away we're over 10 years away from just having attendance. Mm-hmm. So we really have production workers now. Yeah. And so it's a completely different mindset. We're not just looking for somebody to mind the store and do a couple orders. We're looking for them to, again, they're cranking out a lot of laundry week after week after week. So
yeah, I've got to work on my vocabulary, because words carry power and it changes your mindset.
Exactly.
I noticed you use the term team member, and I'm using the term attendant, and that philosophy, you change your language to reflect what you're thinking, and then it changes the way you think. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the reasons you've got such a great team on your, and you guys are just kicking butt. So yeah, thanks again for joining us on the Laundry Podcast.
Thanks a bunch. Have a great day.
I'd like to thank Kent Wells for sharing his knowledge and wisdom with us on the State of the Laundry Industry podcast. Another thing that could help with employee retention, because that's so important, because if you can retain your employees, you don't have to hire new employees, unless, of course, you're growing. But that being said, one of our keys to success with employee retention is our tips. So if you could pay them more, then that does help with retention. And one way of paying your employees more without costing you anything is by collecting tips. So you can see right here, about 1/3 of our customers do tip. And they do that through the curbside laundry's point of sale system for wash and fold, and also pick up and delivery. And on average, out of all our customers who tip, they tip on average about 13.5%. So in the month of September, you can see right here, 591 customers tipped, and we received a total of $4,660 in tips. That came out of the customer's pocket, not ours. And as a result, we were able to pay our employees an extra $1 per hour for their help. So that really makes our pay that much more competitive. In addition, there are a lot of nuances with tips. There's one way you got to collect the tips in store for wash and fold, but something unique to our software is it collects tips for pickup and delivery customers, and also for reoccurring. Remember, your reoccurring pickup and delivery customers are your best customers. They spend between about $1,700 to over $3,000 per year if they're every other week or weekly, respectively. So these guys spend thousands of dollars. They're your best customers. But how do they tip if they don't even have to log into the system, into the software? You just show up there every week to collect their laundry. We have it all figured out. We save their tip amount or their percentage. We get their opt-in, and it's easy, and customers are doing it. And as a result of all our different ways of collecting tips, we're collecting a significant chunk of money that goes right to our employees and helps us with retention. So that's just one thing to consider if you're looking at pickup and delivery. Make sure to check out the Curbside Laundry software. And one thing I want to leave off with is, in the previous episode, Kent Wells said, when it comes to searching for new employees, nothing is off the table. And we took that to heart. And there's a place where we found some really great employees in a place you wouldn't necessarily expect to. And that's with drug rehab centers, or even the halfway houses. People who their past is behind them, they're looking for a new opportunity, and they're getting rejections everywhere. They're just looking for a job, 9 to 5, where they could get back into society and get a job, and that's something that we could provide. And these people may have had really high quality jobs in the past, and they just can't find that opportunity again. And so we're providing that stepping stone where they could get back into the fold, and they could get back into the society, and they're just so thankful to have a job, and some of them are so high of quality. So will that work out long term? Were they off the wagon? Now they're on the wagon, then they'll fall off the wagon. I don't know, but it has been working for us for some time. It may be a place where, if you're really looking, that could be a place where you could find some quality people who need a second chance. It could be a win-win for both of you.